Crime Clueless. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Laura.
I'm Krista.
And I'm Kayla.
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
We're making it today.
We're making it.
Just happy to be back in the studio after being sick.
Yes, we're glad that you're back in person.
Thank you.
Yay. I have a really wild case for you today that is pretty well known in true crime, but also it's been 11 years since it happened. Actually, almost 12. And so I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this one.
I'm excited to hear it.
All right.
Let's get going.
The elevator doors slide open, revealing a narrow, dimly lit space that feels almost claustrophobic under the cold glow of fluorescent lights. A young woman steps inside. She seems hesitant. Her movements, though, are deliberate. She leans forward. She gets really close towards the buttons, pressing a sequence that seems random, yet oddly purposeful, one after the other, illuminating an entire column of floors. But the elevator doesn't move. The doors, as if controlled by an unseen hand, stay open. She glances out in the hallway, her gaze darting as though searching for something or maybe someone. Her body language shifts. She steps forward and then back. Her hands move in strange, almost theatrical gestures as though she's speaking to someone invisible. Then, without warning, she steps out of frame, disappearing into the shadows of the hallway. Days later, a chill runs through the Cecil Hotel. Guests complain of strange tastes in the water, low pressure, murky, discolored streams flowing from their taps. When maintenance workers investigate, the routine check turns into a nightmare. On the rooftop, inside a sealed water tank, they find her.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
This is the story of Elisa Lam. Her name is now synonymous with mystery, tragedy, and one of the most haunting cases of our time. But this story isn't just about the eerie elevator footage or the shocking discovery that followed. It's about a young woman's life, a vibrant, intelligent individual with dreams, struggles, and a journey that took a devastating turn. How did Elisa's solo trip to Los Angeles end so tragically? Why did the Cecil Hotel, a place with its own dark history, become the backdrop for one of the most infamous mysteries of the decade?
Jenna.
Yeah.
Cecil Hotel, isn't that the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez? Wasn't he there too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Familiar.
Yes. We will talk about his stay there.
Kayla knowing her true crime.
Before the world knew her name, Elisa Lam was a young woman with a story that resonates deeply with many. Born on April 30th, 1991 in Vancouver, Canada, she grew up in a tight-knit family of immigrant parents who had moved from Hong Kong in search of a better life. Elisa was the first-generation daughter of this hardworking couple who ran a restaurant to support their family. She was raised with values rooted in perseverance, resilience, and a hope for a brighter future. Elisa was bright, inquisitive, a lover of books and stories. Her curiosity and love for learning often led her to the local library, where she spent hours immersed in novels and poetry. Her favorite authors, Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf, reflected her introspective nature as she sought deeper meaning in life through their words. But beneath her curious and vibrant exterior, Elisa faced challenges that many never saw. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression during her late teens, conditions she battled with courage and transparency. On her Tumblr blog, titled Nouvelle Nouveau, Elisa shared her thoughts, fears, and aspirations. Her posts often revealed a mix of sharp wit, deep introspection, and an enduring search for happiness. She wrote about her struggles with mental health, with a raw honesty that connected with her readers and offered glimpses into her inner world. Her blog became her outlet. On it, she chronicled her feelings with raw, unfiltered honesty. She wrote about the days when her mood swings felt insurmountable, but also the moments of clarity and hope that reminded her why she kept going. I'm trying not to let my failures define me. I am more than the sum of my setbacks, she wrote in one entry. In another post, she wrote, I have a procrastinator's disease. It's not even a real disease. It's not fatal. But sometimes I feel like I'm dying. Her words were often tinged with self-awareness and humor, showing a young woman striving to balance the weight of her emotions with the joys of life. Elisa also wrote, I feel myself falling down a rabbit hole. I can't focus. I can't work. I'm constantly reliving the same day over and over, offering a glimpse into the profound struggles she faced with her mental health. These words captured her vulnerability in an authentic and relatable way, shedding light on the weight she carried daily. Yet, even amidst these challenges, Elisa's resilience shone through. Elisa often reflected on the deeper questions of life, writing, "You're always haunted by the idea you're wasting your life." This poignant observation reveals her introspective nature and her drive to ensure her time was meaningful. Her thoughts on self-discovery were further shared in another post. "I just want to feel like I'm on the right path, like I'm heading somewhere, even if I'm not sure where that is yet." Elisa was a dreamer. She had a creative spark that manifested in her love for fashion, writing, and storytelling. She wanted to see the world, to experience life beyond the familiar streets of Vancouver. Her solo trip to California in January 2013 was part of that dream, a journey of self-discovery, freedom, and growth. She planned to visit San Diego, Los Angeles, and Santa Cruz, documenting her adventures online and sharing snapshots of her journey with her followers. Elisa's words on adventure reveal her longing to break free from the confines of her mind and embrace the vastness of the world. She wrote, "I want to see the world, to get out of my head and into the lives of others. There's so much to see and so little time." Her passion for travel was not just about destinations, but a profound connection to life itself. "Adventure is my cure. To travel is to breathe life into my soul," she wrote, highlighting how exploring new places became a means of healing and self-discovery, allowing her to connect with herself and the world around her. Though she had struggles, Elisa didn't let them define her. She carried a journal wherever she went, jotting down her notes, dreams, and moments that caught her eye. Her curiosity about the world was contagious, and her determination to live fully, despite her challenges, was inspiring. To her family and friends, Elisa was thoughtful, caring, and deeply empathetic. She had a way of making people feel heard and understood. Her parents, though protective and concerned about her traveling alone, admired her independence and determination. For much of her life, Elisa was tethered between two worlds: the outward expectations of a young woman with her whole future ahead of her, and the private struggles she navigated every day. By 2013, Elisa was enrolled at the University of British Columbia, where she worked towards a degree while trying to manage the complexities of her mental health. After months of contemplation and planning, Elisa decided it was time to take a leap. She mapped out a solo trip through California, a journey, like we said, that would take her to San Diego, Los Angeles, and Santa Cruz. It was a bold decision, but Elisa was determined. She saw it as a way to reclaim her independence, to prove to herself that she was capable of navigating the life on her own terms. Elisa assured her parents that she would give daily check-ins and give them her detailed plans. She wanted them to know she wasn't being reckless, she was being brave. "I just want to feel like I'm on the right path," she wrote in her blog. "Like I'm heading somewhere, even if I'm not sure where that is yet." In late January 2013, Elisa packed her bags filled with her journal, her plans, and she boarded a plane bound for California. By the time Elisa arrived in Los Angeles, her journey had already been filled with moments of joy and introspection. She had explored San Diego's famous zoo, taken in the coastal city, and connected with her blog followers along the way. Los Angeles, with its sprawling cityscape, iconic landmarks, vibrant streets, and diverse culture, was her next destination. Elisa checked into a hotel that seemed like just another stop on her adventure, the Cecil Hotel. But the Cecil wasn't just any hotel. It was a place with a history as dark as the city's smoggy skies. In the heart of downtown Los Angeles, on the edge of Skid Row, looms the Cecil Hotel. Its facade and echo of its glamorous past is juxtaposed against the chaos of its surroundings. To passerbys, it's just another aging building, but to those who know its story, the Cecil is a monument to mystery, tragedy, and the darkness that lingers in forgotten places. From the moment it opened its doors in 1924, the Cecil seemed destined to leave a mark. Not as a beacon of luxury, as its creators intended, but as a backdrop for some of the most chilling tales in Los Angeles history. The Cecil Hotel began with grand ambitions, built for $1 million. How much do you guys think that is in today's dollars?
Like $1 billion?
No.
How bad is inflation?
Very bad.
20 million.
Oh, you're pretty close. So $1,024,000 is equivalent to $18,500,000 today.
Oh, I
Wow.
was pretty close.
Good job, Laura.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So this was during the economic boom of the 1920s. It was envisioned as a destination for upscale travelers. Its marble lobby, stained glass windows, and ornate chandeliers spoke of opulence and promise. But just 5 years after it opened, the Great Depression hit, and the once thriving neighborhood fell into decline. The Cecil, like the area around it, would never fully recover. Over the decades, the Cecil Hotel became famous for a string of murders, suicides, and unexplained deaths that earned it the nickname Hotel Death.
That's a little terrifying.
Yeah. So I remembered where I've heard of this before. It's because there's an episode of it's Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters
Oh,
that they
yeah.
do at the Cecil Hotel. And I watched that episode. It was probably year and a half, 2 years ago. But yeah, that's where I've heard this story. I don't know, all the details, but they touched on it. And then they touched on the Night Stalker as well.
Interesting.
It was a creepy episode. So you guys should check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to watch that. I haven't seen that one.
I don't know. You lost me at Ghost Hunters.
No, they stay there overnight.
No, thank you.
I know.
Yeah,
I
no.
could never. I would like to visit it in the middle of the day.
Maybe.
It's not. Is it still open or is it more like a tourist destination spot?
I think it's still open.
I think so too.
And
but
people
it's-
go and stay there?
I think
Okay.
so.
Probably more like the ghost hunter people
Yeah. I mean, okay.
want to kind of experience that. Some people really like that.
Yeah.
And they look for those types of places to
Yeah.
stay.
So
Not
We
you,
lost
Krista.
Krista.
Not me. Yeah, no thanks.
But other people who
Yeah.
are really interested in this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
they do go stay
It's
places
a big
like
destination
this.
place for that. I wouldn't stay there. I would go there during the day, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
stay there.
but it's
Sounds
on
beautiful.
it's on Skid Row though, and it's like designated now as a place for if you've just gotten out of prison
Oh.
or if you can only pay week to week, or they have floors, I'll tell you in a second, that are designated for like long term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to go visit it.
No.
I'll look at the facade.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
Yes.
So it has 700 rooms.
Wow.
In the 20s, they designed it for weary travelers. However, it seemed to attract the quote unquote desperate and the damned. In 1931, the first recorded suicide occurred when a guest, W.K. Norton, ingested poison in his room. It was the start of a grim pattern. By the 40s and 50s, the Cecil had become a hot spot for tragedy, with countless guests taking their own lives by poison, hanging, or leaping from the upper floors.
Oh,
That's so sad.
yeah.
It's really
it is.
sad. One of the most infamous cases linked to the Cecil is the murder of Elizabeth Short, better known as the Black Dahlia. In 1947, Short was reportedly seen drinking at the hotel's bar shortly before her body was found in a nearby vacant lot. While there's no definitive proof tying the Cecil to her death, the connection has cemented its place in true crime lore. This one's really bizarre. On October 12th, 1962, the Cecil Hotel witnessed one of its most bizarre and tragic incidents. Pauline Otten, a 27-year-old woman, had checked into the hotel with her husband. They had a heated argument. I think they were estranged at the time. Despondent, she decided to end her life. Pauline leapt from her 9th floor window, plummeting towards the street below. In an unthinkable twist of fate, her fall intersected with a pedestrian, 65-year-old George Gianni, who was walking by the hotel at the time. Both Pauline and George were killed instantly. Investigators initially struggled to determine what had happened to George, only later concluding that his death was a tragic accident caused by Pauline's fall.
Wow, that's so sad.
That's
Mhm.
really sad.
Yeah, it's so unthinkable that it could be right at that exact moment, right?
What a coincidence.
As the neighborhood around the Cecil descended into poverty and crime, the hotel became a haven for those on society's fringes. Among its most notorious residents, like Kayla mentioned, was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who terrorized Los Angeles in the 80s with a series of brutal murders. Ramirez reportedly stayed at the Cecil, paying $14 a night. So how much do you think that is now from the 80s?
300.
Lower.
I'm really good at this game, guys.
I like the guesses.
150.
$54 the night.
Oh,
Only?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
we're way off, Kayla.
I told you I'm really good at this game.
We're going to play it more. So he stayed there for $14 a night during his killing spree, dumping his blood-soaked clothes behind the hotel in dumpsters in the back alley before casually walking through the lobby in blood-soaked underwear. Nobody seemed to care.
No one thought that was odd.
No, and that's why this hotel
Has a bad
so
reputation.
scary. Yes. It was rumored in the 80s that you never wanted to stay above the 6th floor. Too much of a risk of being thrown out a window.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Then in 1991, another infamous guest was Jack, and his last name is hard, Unterweger. He was an Austrian journalist turned serial killer. He fled Austria in 1991 and stayed at the Cecil. He used his time there to target sex workers, luring them back to his room before strangling them, usually with their own bra. The hotel's dark reputation seemed to attract not just the troubled, but the truly malevolent. He told investigators later that he stayed there because Richard Ramirez was his idol.
Okay, that's
Get
great.
better idols, please.
Okay, I take it back. I don't want to stay there.
I don't know. I was going to say the things we'll talk about.
At some point, maybe this needs to be demolished or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Still gonna have that energy though. Anything else that's built there is gonna be haunted too.
I think so. The hotel was sold for $26 million in 2007. After that sale, the Cecil Hotel underwent efforts to rehabilitate its image. Rebranded as Stay on Main in the 2010s, it attempted to attract budget-conscious travelers while still housing the long-term residents. The stigma, however, proved really hard to shake. The plan...
You can't get rid of that.
No.
No.
Can't change the name and
Oh,
make
it's
it
a
better.
new hotel.
Right. Just like you said, those things are still going to follow. And even, no matter what they try to do. So the plan was to have floors 2 and 3 be for tenants. Floors 4, 5, and 6 were for stay on main. And then 7 through 15, minus 13, were the Cecil. They even had separate lobbies. Today, the Cecil's fate reflects the ongoing tension in downtown Los Angeles. While the building may have been refurbished, its stories linger etched in the walls and whispered through its halls. The Cecil Hotel stands as more than just a building. It's a symbol of the complexities of urban life. The Cecil's history read like the script of a horror film. Locals whispered about its cursed reputation, but for Elisa, it was likely just a budget-friendly place to rest between her explorations. Elisa's journey to Los Angeles marked an exciting chapter in her adventure, but it also brought her to a place that she couldn't have foreseen, the Cecil. What began as a hopeful exploration of the world outside her comfort zone would soon take a tragic turn, becoming the backdrop for one of the most haunting mysteries of the modern age. Elisa called home every day during her trip, reassuring them that she was safe and enjoying herself. For her, the journey wasn't just about seeing new places, it was about proving to herself that she could face the world on her terms. She visited bookstores, explored the city's landmarks, and continued to post updates online. In one social media post, she shared a photo from the last bookstore in downtown LA, captioned with her usual mix of humor and introspection. The owners of the bookstore remembered her when asked later. They said she was contemplating which book would be the best pick. She was worried that it might be too heavy to carry around with the rest of her trip. They described Elisa as outgoing, lively, and friendly. While she was in LA, she took a trip to Burbank to see a live taping of Conan. She was ultimately escorted out, according to reports, due to disruptive behavior. This included having a note she had written for Conan that she was adamant about getting to him. She was embracing the solar traveler's experience, even if moments of isolation crept in. Elisa's stay at the Cecil wasn't without its complications. Initially, she was staying in a shared room with other travelers, an arrangement that's pretty common for budget-conscious solo adventurers. However, things started to take a strange turn. The girls she was rooming with began complaining about her erratic behavior. Elisa was reportedly leaving notes on their beds with unsettling messages like, "Go away," and "Get out." The situation escalated enough that hotel staff decided to move her to her own room. This happened just one day before she was scheduled to check out. Later that day, Elisa was spotted in the hotel lobby Witnesses recalled her shouting, "I'm crazy, but so is LA, so it's okay."
How long was she staying there for?
She stayed there from the 26th and she was supposed to check out February 1st.
Okay.
Is she on medications for her bipolar?
She was reportedly taking 4 different prescriptions that she did have with her.
Okay. So she hadn't like run out of any of them?
She hadn't, no.
They were still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That statement in the lobby seemed to capture both her state of mind and maybe hint at the chaos that she was seeing around her. On January 31st, 2013, so this is the day before she was supposed to check out, she was seen for the last time. Security footage captured her visiting a nearby shop to purchase gifts for her family. The shop owner recalled her as friendly and cheerful, showing no signs of distress. Later that evening, you can see Elisa returning to the Cecil Hotel. It was shortly after this that the elevator footage was recorded, the now infamous video that would captivate millions. In it, like we said, Elisa's behavior appeared erratic and unsettling. She moved in and out of the elevator, pressed multiple buttons, made gestures that baffled viewers. Was she playing a game, hiding from someone, or was something else happening entirely? The elevator footage is perhaps the most unsettling and puzzling part of Elisa Lam's story. I'm going to show you the video now so you guys can watch it, and we'll post it on our blog too. So you see the door open normal. You see Elisa get in. She's wearing red hoodie, sandals, black shorts. You see her lean in really close to press the buttons.
And she pushes like the whole side.
Mm-hmm. She did wear glasses and she's not wearing them in this. So they think maybe
Maybe she was trying to read them.
Yeah.
Or something.
it almost looks like when she gets out like that, like she's looking for someone or something.
Yeah, it looks like she's hiding in the elevator.
It
Yeah.
looks like she's trying to see why the doors aren't closing because she hit all the buttons and it's staying open.
Right.
Maybe she was wondering if someone was hitting the button on the outside.
Maybe
Well, I mean, she comes back in and
Hides
in the corner.
the other
Yeah.
corner, right?
Maybe she heard something.
Maybe she kind of does that jump and then kind of looks like a square dance step, like that box step, you know?
Yeah.
She's waiting. It's weird that the doors are still open.
Yeah.
That is really
Bizarre. And like, is she waving?
Yeah, she's kind of off screen right now. But it looks like her arm is up and she's doing something.
Mm-hmm. Kind of walking in again. Pushing those buttons. Trying to make it go.
Was the elevator broken?
No. And we'll see in a minute, it goes after she leaves.
Oh, that's really odd.
Mm-hmm. And then she steps back out. Running her hands through her hair seems like,
It does seem like she's worried about something.
yeah. And like her hands.
It looks like she's talking to someone down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like gesturing to the door like, oh, it's not working. Or
Right. Maybe a maintenance worker. Those hand movements, I don't really understand what she's. Maybe she's nervous, like she's wringing her hands.
I wish there was audio. Yeah.
I know, me too. And then she leaves and we never see her again. So the video continues and you'll notice in a second that the doors close, goes to the next floor. It's just stuck open for such a long time.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I've tried to get into an elevator before and it starts to close on you.
Right.
By
Usually
locking
you're
it or
trying to
close,
keep it
yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And it just barely closed now.
Yeah. And then you'll notice like the lights on the side, it goes to the floor, the first floor that she pushed opens. And it's like a normal amount of time this time.
Oh, yeah. It's way faster than
Right?
when she was in there.
Mm-hmm. closes and you can see less buttons lit up. Goes to the next floor, which you can tell is definitely different.
So it's definitely working.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Opens again. And closes and goes to the next. And that's the end of the video.
Why did the doors take so long to close when she was in it?
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, I wish there was some audio you could hear, maybe something from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Even a second video in the hall or something.
Yeah, something from the hall would have been nice to see.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Are those the only cameras in the elevators?
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, in the hotel in the elevators?
Yeah, they didn't have footage like of the hallways.
Okay.
But they had it in the lobby to see her in and out, right?
Right.
This footage offers no answers, only questions. We don't see anyone else in the video. The hallway remains empty because the door's open for a long time after we don't see her. No one walks past.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Right. The day after the footage was recorded, Elisa was supposed to check out of the Cecil Hotel and continue her journey, but she never left. When her family didn't hear from her, they reported her missing, sparking a search that would consume the attention of law enforcement, the media, and internet sleuths alike. The Cecil Hotel became the focal point of the mystery that would only grow more haunting as the days passed. When Elisa's parents reported her missing on February 1st, 2013, the LAPD immediately launched an investigation. Elisa had been due to check out that day, but never did. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and there was no sign of her anywhere in the hotel.
Wait, what happened to her stuff?
Well, when
Okay.
people...
Sorry.
No, it's a good question. When they have an arranged checkout at the hotel or like a certain day that people are supposed to leave, when they go in, if stuff is still in there, they bag it up and they keep it for 30 days.
Mm.
So investigators did find her stuff. Her phone wasn't there. Unfortunately, they were so fast at cleaning out her room, they weren't able to see how it was left in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a bummer.
It's a big bummer. Because she wasn't answering and because she had been checking in every single day, the sudden silence had her parents panicked immediately.
Obviously, yeah.
Mhm.
And it does seem in this case that investigators really quickly determined that this disappearance wasn't like her.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they didn't say, okay, we need to wait 48 hours or whatever. She's an adult. She's allowed to go missing. None of that this time.
Maybe as soon as they said she was staying at the Cecil Hotel, they were like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, that probably was part of it, actually. From the moment she was reported missing, detectives faced an uphill battle in their investigation. Their first step was retracing her movements within the hotel. They interviewed staff and guests to piece together a timeline. Elisa had been seen by hotel employees on the 31st, the day before she was supposed to check out. And she had visited the nearby shop, so we talked about, but after that, her trail went cold. Like I said, detectives went to her room. Nothing was there. They'd bagged it up. So they were given the bag. It contained her wallet, her prescriptions, and her clothing. This was concerning because if she had decided to leave, her medication and wallets obviously were vital to her continuing. Detectives began their search by interviewing, they had about 50 staff at the time. Some reported seeing her in the days leading up to her disappearance, describing her as friendly and cheerful. The manager told the police about the incidents with her roommates and the incident in the lobby. Some hotel staff reported that Elisa had been in an area that was off limits to guests, but she had left when they asked her to.
So we talked about how they have cameras in the lobby for coming and going, and then they also have cameras in the elevators, but do they have cameras by like stairwells? Do they have cameras by every exit? Or is there a way that they're like, okay, she could have left this way?
I think there were other ways that she could have left. Detectives did go through every piece of footage minute by minute,
Okay.
and they didn't see her on any other footage.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure on exactly where those cameras were.
Okay.
So in the inside, remember, it's 100 years old. When you look at the rooms, they look like they are old. When you look at the lobby, it looks like the nicest hotel you've ever seen.
So they probably updated the lobby and added the cameras there, but not
Right.
other places.
Right. But I would think with everything that happens at this hotel, they would have more.
Especially
would
with that
think.
history.
Right. The manager talked about one time coming to a floor and there was a sharpshooter in the hallway and she wasn't even aware. And
Oh
they
my
were there
gosh.
because someone had been stabbed and they were looking for whoever was running around with the knife.
Oh, wow.
It lends itself to needing more cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So police looked through her room. They went through her belongings. The hotel, like we said, has 15 minus the 13th floor, that many floors, over 700 rooms. Detectives tried to search every corner of the building, but that's obviously a daunting task. From the basement to the rooftop, common areas, stairwells. They inspected the building's exterior, checking fire escapes and ledges for any signs of where Elisa might have gone. In an effort to be thorough, detectives brought in search dogs to assist. The trained canines were taken through the hotel, sniffing for Elisa's scent in hallways, stairs, and even the roof. Despite their keen noses, the dogs failed to pick up on a strong trail leading from the Cecil, leading investigators to believe Elisa hadn't left the building or ventured far from it. The lack of results only deepened the mystery. They did track her down a hallway on the 5th floor to a window that went out to the fire escape, but her trail went cold there too.
Do you think because it was outside?
I mean, usually they are tracking outside, so
Okay.
I don't know.
True.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Unless
Unless
she just
someone-
walked to the window to look out.
And then
Or if
turned
someone
around.
carried her up the fire escape.
Her scent, I think, would still be there, though.
I mean, if someone picked her up there and carried her, would it?
I think so.
Yeah.
At
you would
least
think that they
somewhat.
would pick it up on the roof, though, if she was up there.
Right. And they said that they
Well.
didn't pick up anything on the roof.
And she was there,
Right.
right? So,
Right.
She must have been transported in something else.
Maybe.
Oh, could be.
Yeah.
I think
I
for
don't
the
know.
scent to just completely disappear, she'd either have to have gone to the window and double backed or been, I don't know, taken and closed up in something.
So on the outside, the fire escape from level to level looks like staircases going from each one. But when you get to the 14th floor up to the 15th, it's a really narrow, crazy high up ladder. So I don't know. It would be really scary to try to carry someone up there.
Yeah.
As the LAPD tirelessly searched for Elisa in early February, their efforts were suddenly complicated by an entirely different crisis, a deadly manhunt for Christopher Dorner, a former LAPD officer who turned fugitive. Dorner's rampage began on February 3rd, 2013, just 2 days after Elisa was reported missing. One of the detectives said that they went from having 18 investigators on Elisa's case down to 2 to 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Christopher Dorner had declared war on the LAPD in a chilling manifesto. He accused them of corruption and he vowed revenge against its officers and their families. What followed was a violent spree that left Southern California in fear and stretched the LAPD's resources to their limit. The hunt for Dorner became their top priority as he began targeting police officers and their loved ones.
So sad.
It's really sad. We might need to cover him sometime. But briefly, his attacks included multiple shootings and ambushes. He left several people dead and others gravely injured. The department was under immense pressure to stop him. They deployed SWAT teams, helicopters, and a massive task force to track him down. With so many resources diverted to the manhunt, the search for Elisa inevitably slowed as the department struggled to balance 2 high-profile cases. The pursuit of Dorner dominated headlines and the city's attention. Police flooded the streets, checkpoints were established, and neighborhoods were on high alert. Even the Cecil Hotel was briefly swept up in the chaos as Officers investigated every possible lead, including tips that he might be hiding in urban areas. The heightened tension in Los Angeles during this time added to the already complex and challenging search for Elisa. During this time, Elisa's family did fly down to Southern California, and they did a news conference talking about her, asking anybody for help in finding her or finding what happened to her. The LAPD finally cornered Dorner on February 12th, 2013, after he barricaded himself in a cabin in Big Bear Lake. A dramatic standoff ensued, ending with the cabin engulfed in flames and Dorner's death.
Oh, wow.
While the conclusion of the manhunt brought some relief to the city, it also highlighted the toll the ordeal had taken on the department. For detectives working Elisa's case, the distraction of the Dorner crisis meant valuable time and resources had been diverted during the critical early days of her disappearance. So that took 9 days
Wow.
from the beginning of her going missing.
I was going to say after nearly 2 weeks, probably a lot of any leads or people that might have been staying there are probably gone.
Right. A lot of them are very short term. So as the days had passed with no leads, the LAPD expanded their efforts. Helicopters were dispatched to survey the rooftop and surrounding areas from above, providing a bird's eye view of the dense urban landscape. The hotel's location near Skid Row, an area with a high transient population, added complexity to the investigation. Could Elisa have wandered out of the building and fallen victim to foul play? Could she have left voluntarily, seeking solitude or safety elsewhere? Detectives canvassed nearby streets, questioned locals, and reviewed external surveillance footage from neighboring businesses in the hopes of spotting Elisa. The LAPD released missing person flyers with Elisa's photo, hoping someone in the city might recognize her. The Cecil Hotel itself proved to be both a resource and a challenge. While it had security cameras positioned in key areas, the footage, like we talked about, was limited. The building was a labyrinth, and that made tracking Elisa's movements difficult. Detectives painstakingly went through hours of surveillance footage from the hotel, hoping to spot something, anything that could provide a clue. 2 detectives worked around the clock. They said in one interview they were working 20 hours a day, reviewing the footage minute by minute. Cecil's outdated security system presented a challenge with cameras positioned, like we said, only in certain areas with very limited coverage. As detectives pored over hours of video trying to trace her last known steps, their diligence eventually led to a breakthrough. The elevator camera yielded this. Elisa was last seen, like we said, on January 31st. The haunting elevator footage was the last confirmed sighting that they found in all of the footage of Elisa. But this discovery seemed to raise more questions than it answered. The footage wasn't enough to draw conclusions. Detectives expanded their search beyond the hotel, canvassing nearby streets, businesses, anything. Frustrated by the lack of leads, the LA on February 13th turned to the public for help. It had been nearly 2 weeks after Elisa's disappearance. They then made the decision to release the elevator footage. Detectives hoped that by sharing it widely, someone might recognize Elisa or offer a vital piece of information. Instead, what they got was an explosion of interest and speculation. This ended up propelling the case into the global spotlight. They said in one interview that it was viewed over 25 million times just in China, in one small city.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. With this footage, armchair detectives and casual viewers alike pored over every frame, each person offering their interpretation. Some were drawn to the mystery of her actions, others to the supernatural vibe of the video. Theories ranged from the plausible to the bizarre, with some claiming she was being stalked, others suggesting she was caught in a supernatural encounter, and a few speculating about foul play. To viewers, her actions, both erratic and deeply unsettling. Just like we said, why doesn't the elevator move? Why does she keep stepping in and out? Why does she press so many buttons? Her hand movements have been interpreted as something from an attempt to summon help, to sense of distress or confusion. Some theorize she's hiding for someone, or perhaps playing a game. I did read about a game that I believe came from Korea, and it was like an elevator game where you had to push these different buttons in a specific order, and then supposedly it takes you to another world. I mean, the theories are all over the map for what happened. Others suggested that her gestures could be related to a mental health episode, a manifestation of anxiety, mania, or hallucinations. The elevator footage became a central piece of the puzzle. And again, it raised more questions than it answered. And the lack of audio meant viewers could only guess at what Elisa was hearing or saying. The hotel's layout, including whether someone could have been just out of frame, added layers of intrigue.
Were they able to tell from her medication if she was regularly taking it? Or could they tell if she had been missing days or anything like that?
That comes up in the autopsy a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems like she might have been missing a couple days worth.
Okay.
So you're on a good track there.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
If
with her
she was having
outburst.
an episode.
Mm-hmm. Releasing the elevator footage sparked ethical questions. Was it right to dissect these moments captured at what may have been Elisa's most vulnerable time? While it did provide some clues, it turned her into an object of fascination, many forgetting the human story behind the chilling image. For the LAPD, the public's reaction to the video was both a blessing and a curse. It generated hundreds of tips, but most led to dead ends. Investigators found themselves fielding calls from people convinced they had solved the mystery based on fleeting impressions or wild assumptions. Meanwhile, the video's viral nature drew media attention to the case, increasing pressure on detectives to deliver answers. Despite the frenzy, the video ultimately failed to provide a breakthrough that investigators desperately needed. Instead, it became a haunting artifact of the case, a window into Elisa's final hours that offered no clarity, only more questions. What happened after Elisa stepped out of the frame? Where did she go? Over the course of nearly 2 weeks, LAPD continued deploying every resource at their disposal.
Is this 2 weeks after the
footage
was released?
No, sorry, 2 weeks after she went missing.
Okay. And that was during the time when they were also doing the manhunt.
Right.
Okay.
So the manhunt ended on the 12th and they released the footage on the 13th?
Yeah. I think they had their
back.
Yeah, their resources back by then. By mid-February 2013, guests at the Cecil Hotel began reporting strange issues with the water. At first, it seemed like minor inconveniences, low water pressure that made showers sluggish, or faucets sputter before a steady stream began. But the complaints quickly became more concerning. Guests noticed the water was discolored, with some describing it as murky or even black. And then there was the taste. Visitors reported the water coming out of the tap and the shower had an odd, unpleasant flavor.
Oof.
One they couldn't
I
quite
don't like
place.
it.
No, I'm trying not to gag over here.
Knowing what it is,
Terrible
I bet people who were staying there just
Oh,
got so sick.
I would freak out.
Shockwaves.
Yeah.
On the morning of February 19th, 2013, so we're at almost 3 weeks since she went missing, a maintenance worker named Santiago Lopez climbed to the roof to inspect the water tanks. Accessing the rooftop itself required effort. So he had to go to the 15th floor. Then you have to go up another flight of stairs. Then there's a door that has a sign on it that says, "Do not enter, employees only." And it does have an alarm on it, which would go off on the 15th floor and also all of hotel staff areas and the front desk. Then when you get to the roof, you have to climb another ladder to get up to where the water tanks even are.
Can staff members turn that alarm off?
He was able to disarm the alarm on the door. So yes,
Okay.
yes, they can. There are 4 tanks on the roof. Each are about 8 feet tall and several feet wide. They're situated on the raised platform that you have to climb the ladder up to. Lopez started with a routine inspection, opening the lids of each tank to check for debris or blockages, anything that would explain the water issues. When he opened the lid of the last tank, he found something he never expected to see. Inside the tank, Lopez saw the body of a young woman floating face up in the water. Some reports differ on this. Some say that she was naked with her clothes and belongings in there. Others say that she was fully dressed. I can't determine which one is real because I see both in reporting constantly.
So sad.
That's really sad.
Her room key was in there with her. The water was eerily still, and the sight was both surreal and horrifying. Lopez immediately closed the lid and reported his discovery to hotel management, who called the police. Investigators rushed to the scene, sealing off the rooftop as they worked to recover the body and piece together how it had ended up there.
Jenna, the lids for those, I think at the beginning you said they were sealed. Were they like locked, or how do you have to get into those?
So that is something also. Most reports say that the lid was closed, and it doesn't seem like there's a lock though. It seems more like you put it on and like twist it closed.
Oh, okay.
But then I've seen a couple places where they said the lid was slightly off. But I don't think that's the case because they were up there and they would have noticed. They were up there. They had the helicopter with the lights on the roof. They had police up there looking around.
Yeah, I feel like they would have noticed if it was askew.
I think they would have found her quicker.
Okay.
They determined the lids were 20 pounds. It's not impossible, but still pretty heavy.
Yeah.
To put it back on.
Yeah. How
alone.
deep were they, did you say?
It said they were 8
tall.
feet.
Okay.
So yeah,
You're not going to stand in there. Yeah.
No, you can't stand in there.
No.
Nope. Talk about that more. So news of the discovery sent shockwaves through the hotel, especially among the guests who had been using the water. Many were horrified to learn that the discolored, odd-tasting water they had been complaining about was directly linked to a decomposing body in the tank.
You're going to make Krista throw up.
Yeah.
I'm just like imagining being there and being like, oh, this water's kind of gross. And
Right?
then finding out why. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. One guest that was interviewed was a tourist from the UK. They're on the Netflix series too on this.
Which Netflix series is this on?
It's called Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. This couple from the UK was interviewed about their time there. The tourist described the water as having a horrible, sweet taste,
Oh.
adding
I
that
hate that.
she and her partner had been drinking it for days.
Oh,
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
The revelation prompted outrage and disgust, with some guests cutting their stay short and leaving the hotel immediately.
Absolutely.
no way I'm staying there after that.
No.
I'm going to the hospital.
Yeah, they're first.
Yeah.
Recovering Elisa from the water tank was a delicate and complex process. Firefighters and investigators determined that it was too dangerous to hoist her out through the narrow opening she had presumably entered. Instead, they cut a section of the tank to safely remove her remains. The operation took hours. It drew a crowd of onlookers outside the hotel as word of the gruesome discovery spread. Even after her body was recovered, the mystery deepened. How had Elisa accessed the rooftop, bypassing locked doors and alarms? How had she climbed into the tank, which required scaling a ladder, lifting the heavy metal lid? Why had she entered the tank? These questions left investigators and the public grappling with a case that seemed to defy explanation. They wanted to know, how did she go from the hallway outside the elevator to the rooftop water tank? The final footage while haunting offered no clear paths of the truth. Instead, it became the catalyst for a mystery that would grow deeper with each discovery.
I'm assuming at that point they weren't able to find any DNA or anything on her.
Nope, they weren't able to do a rape kit because it had been so long, and they weren't able to get anything from under her fingernails.
That's so sad.
Her body was probably
Really sad.
too, and decomposed quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's also in a metal tank on top of a roof. And granted, it's February, but it's still
Still going to be warm.
warm.
Yeah.
We're not
in
in
the sun.
Minnesota or, right. Okay, guys, I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is where we're going to leave part 1. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry, guys, you have to wait to find out how this ends.
Hate when you do this to me.
I'm sorry. There's just so much interesting information out there. So many things that makes this case so interesting. I didn't want to leave anything out.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us as we explored this haunting story. We truly appreciate you spending your time with us. If you are looking for resources that we used in this episode, head over to our blog. You can find it linked on our website, crimeclueless.com, under the contributors section. Please, if you would, follow us on all social media platforms or whichever one's your favorite. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Just search for @CrimeClueless. We'd love to hear from you after this first one. We'd love to hear what you think, your thoughts, theories, any feedback. If you get a minute, if you could just give us a quick rating or review, that would be amazing. Your support helps us reach more listeners. You can find Crime Clueless on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. Remember, refuse to be clueless, careless, or caught off guard.
Not today, murderers.
Bye.
Bye.